Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Akis Evangelidis, the India president and co-founder of Nothing, and he'll be in conversation with Ritvika Gupta, news editor, Times Network. Ritvika, before you start, I have a question for Akis. Is that the Nothing 3A Pro with you? Yeah. All right, I thought as much.
Wonderful.
About you.
Going on sales tomorrow.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, I think, where Sumit left off, let me just pick it up from there. Can we call Nothing a startup today?
I guess a big startup.
A bit of?
Yeah, we recently just crossed 1 billion cumulative revenue within 4 years.
Fantastic.
Thank you. So first kind of big milestone, and yeah, our growth has been tremendous ever since last year. We're the fastest growing smartphone brand here in India, and yeah, we're not planning to slow down anytime soon. So yeah, hopefully we're beyond the startup stage.
Fantastic. Akis, today, the topic for my conversation with you is mastering the global mindset. And why I chose this topic is because in my conversation with a lot of small business owners, startup founders, entrepreneurs on my daily show, ET Now, which is from Monday to Friday, 7:30 p.m. on ET Now, I garner a sense of aspiration, ambition. I feel like India's entrepreneurs today, they want to scale not just in India, but across the globe. And having a mindset is crucial because, it's more than just having talent, resources. But I want to understand from you, what is the global mindset? Is it about having the ability to adapt across markets or something else entirely different?
Yeah, I think globalization has been exponentially kind of blurring the line, between all the different kind of geographic locations. And I think for us, with Nothing, ever since we started, I think the most important thing was anchoring our story into something that was meaningful to our audience, something relatable. And at the end of the day, looking back, people are always asking me, your brand is so cool, we love what you're doing and so on, what's the trick? But to be honest, we were thinking about ourselves as users. It was 4 years ago. We grew up with the launch of the first iPhone. We would kind of stay up very late to watch the keynotes. And, 4 years ago, that's kind of excitement within the industry had sort of faded away. So we're like, okay, we're entering our 30s. So we thought that, yeah, if we would take a shot, it would be now or never. So we embark on that journey, really looking at this again from a user lens, and then gradually as we start kind of building the company, talking to people, we realized that it wasn't just us that were feeling that way, and we sort of created that emotional connection that again was aspired people on a global scale. And it was quite crazy at the time, the level of excitement we had even before releasing our first product. Just tech enthusiasts, just knowing that there was a brand out there that was going to give it a go, challenge the big kind of big brands out there that's been around for years, and sort of, with that excitement that has gone away, yeah, we kind of captivate that level of excitement from the get-go, and we've been building since then.
Fantastic. Now, from an outsider's lens, like not outsider, you're now the India president, so you're pretty much an insider now, but what I mean to ask is, how does one view India's tech and startup ecosystem? Which are the, what are the opportunities and the strengths do you see here?
I mean, India is a fabulous market. I think the sort of, tech ecosystem, like the growth has been insane. I think it's been now kind of home to some breakthrough digital first companies. I think companies like Zomato have become a benchmark, not only at a national level, but also global. I think it's fantastic what they've been doing. The startup ecosystem is buzzing. I've been around the country quite a lot, and, young entrepreneurs that come up to me and are pitching different ideas, and they're not even in their 20s. I think this is kind of tremendous, and more importantly, all this kind of drive is backed up by a very mature investor ecosystem, and probably like world-class engineering talent. We're seeing now more and more kind of, global companies having all the kind of engineer resources out of India, because the level and the skill set has been at the forefront, not only in India, but like on a global level. So I think, yeah, a lot more to come, and definitely seeing India playing a major role within the smartphone industry on a global level. And this is why I literally, like two weeks ago, announced I'm going to be taking over the India president role, because, yeah, we want to be part of that exciting journey, and I think there is a lot more to come.
Absolutely, and Nothing has seen exponential growth, especially in 2024. It was the fastest growing smartphone brand here in India. How crucial is the India market for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the level of excitement and energy, you know, every time I land in India, I like that I feel and sense.
And traffic.
And traffic, and good food.
Oh, and good food, yeah.
Is actually quite incredible. And basically what happened with us is that it's an extremely tech enthusiast market. You know, the level of knowledge when it comes to a smartphone, like the questions I would get here in India, I'll never get in terms of the specs on the product.
What kind of questions?
So recently we've been on the Phone 3 Pro, we had the UFS 2.2. Yeah, a lot of questions on that, which is basically, you know, how smooth and how rapidly you transition data on cold storage and hot storage, which is quite technical. Like for the majority of people outside of India, even talking about processor and clocking speed and so on, they get overwhelmed. But like going to that level of expertise is quite crazy. But anyway, like, yeah, going back to, you know, when we started kind of consumer tech brand and sort of, you know, the big audience when it comes to kind of tech-savvy audience really helped us to kind of go very hard from the get-go, because we had, you know, all that support that came out of it, and we didn't necessarily expect it, but I think that sort of comes with a
Globally relevant, globally aspirational, as well as a design-first and design-forward brand. Tell me, what is your approach to creating a brand that truly stands out?
I think it has been all about standing out. You know, we started this company, we were feeling quite uninspired about what the industry had to offer. So for us, since the beginning, it was, okay, how can we do things differently? You know, I think the more established brands out there, they have a lot more to lose if they were to try new things. But for us, from the beginning, it was all about being bolder. So we started the first kind of the low-hanging fruit, like, okay, all the products look the same. How can we make something different, something you would kind of recognize from 2 meters away without even looking at the logo? And that's how we came up with sort of semi-transparency, design identity, and then gradually this mindset in terms of continuously questioning the status quo, you know, wanting to do things differently. It sort of trained our innovation muscle, and what started with just kind of questioning the hardware design, then gradually transitioning to, okay, what about the user experience? You know, the smartphone user experience hasn't drastically changed in the last 10 years, you know, and yet our dependency and what we do with our smartphones is crazy nowadays, right? So what worked back then is definitely not the most kind of optimal way to be interacting with your smartphone. So now with AI coming in and a lot more opportunities from that side, I think we're extremely excited to kind of really question the overall user interface of the smartphone.
But you know, taking on big giants like Apple and Samsung, it's no small feat. You know, by way of advice for entrepreneurs, tell me, what does it take to challenge established players in the market?
Yeah, it's back to my previous point. You know, I think their, you know, their scale is sort of their weakness. You know, again, they cannot be as bold as you can be in terms of questioning and changing things. But also, especially towards a younger demographic, I think those big corporations have grown quite distant from the user, whereas ever since we started, we've been very close to our user. You know, what we did even before releasing our first product, on our Series A, we allocated 10% of our Series A to allow people to invest. So we're seeing so much support. We're like, okay, guys, you know, here's your opportunity to have skin in the game almost, so that you don't kind of are on the side and kind of cheering for us along the way. Like this time around, you can come in and you can have a potential upside. And what we took that even further, like one of those guys every year, we elect one community board observer, and that person sits in our board meetings and kind of funnels all the feedback that comes from the user. And then on top of this, we've been, yeah, I guess just kind of sharing our journey, our struggles, our successes along the way, and it's something that has created a very deep connection with our audience. And I guess, yeah, if you look at social media, for instance, you can see our level of engagement is far beyond any other brands out there. So I think, again, kind of playing on your agility, your scale, and your ability to kind of keep that proximity with the user, on top of course, taking bolder bets. And when it comes to product, I think that's where the opportunity lies.
Now, you have also worked with brands like OnePlus and Sony as well. Tell me what lessons, have you sort of incorporated, from working with these businesses in terms of, how has that shaped your approach to innovation? What does innovation mean in today's day and age? Is it about the idea, the execution, understanding the market right, or everything that I just mentioned?
I guess, starting with Sony, it taught me that I would never want to be working for a big brand. It's very hard to navigate. I remember I was a campaign manager there, and they were kind of rebranding Everyday Extraordinary to, Make Believe to Everyday Extraordinary, and trying to retrofit the narrative into the brand story, and extremely hard to do, right? Whereas, for instance, with Nothing, from the get-go, we're extremely aligned. What was our brand promise? Why are we doing this? And has been, this kind of notion of wanting to make tech fun again, and being extremely aligned from the get-go, kind of waterfall across the organization, and every user touch point, feels as such. And I think that kind of really strong alignment, and not kind of thinking about brand or your purpose in a reactive way. I think that was a key learning. And then, OnePlus, I guess, the timing was a big part of that. Also kind of, trying to disrupt the bigger players, kind of think on new ways on how you should be engaging, with our community back then. A lot of good learnings, and of course, all the industry insights and knowledge that kind of eventually led up to us starting Nothing.
And just out of curiosity, who came up with the name Nothing?
I was born in Athens, and I was initially, I was putting a lot of different names in the kind of Greek mythology and so on, and we were kind of brainstorming. And actually, Carl had a discussion with his sister, and then the next day he came in. And because we're struggling so much, because when you start a company, it's really hard to find the name, get the social media handles, get the website and so on. And he goes, guys, I'm not too sure, but what about Nothing? If you think about the end state of technology, technology should be integrated all around you, be there to kind of empower you, yet feel like nothing. That's the kind of the end state, and it took a few days, but gradually kind of grew on us, and then we realized that @Nothing on Twitter was not being used for more than kind of 7 years, which kind of tells you to claim it. And then on Instagram, you couldn't register it, so we fired a few emails. Within 24 hours, we had the handles. So we're like, okay, let's go.
You mentioned social media quite a number of times on this platform. Tell me, how important is it for a brand or a business today to have a strong social media presence, to have a voice?
I think extremely important. It's a free organic reach, so you better invest, even though it's more kind of a long-term return, like invest in that early on in your journey. And for us, again, keeping that direct dialogue with our users ever since we started has been huge. And also we've been very transparent. That sort of transparency that you see in our product, we're also trying to keep it through our communication, and really inviting the user to see that sort of behind the scene. And it worked really well, because again, it's about creating that emotional connection with your audience. And I think, especially in India, I see a massive opportunity. I think the younger generation is looking beyond pure kind of value for money. They want to be buying into more premium products, more aspirational products, and again, it starts by creating that emotional connection with your user base.
So what is your vision for Nothing in India? Or where do you see the brand in the next 5 to 10 years?
We have our own plans, maybe not yet ready to disclose, but definitely, as I mentioned last year, we were the fastest growing smartphone brand in the market. We definitely not planning to slow down anytime soon. So we'll have definitely a big role to play quite rapidly.
So were there any roadblocks because you moved from a different market, coming to India? What were the kind of challenges did you face? And by way of advice again to entrepreneurs, what sort of advice would you give when they are looking to explore different markets?
I think it's, at the end of the day, it comes down, breathe and live the local market. I think for me, again, I've been coming, I think I've spent more time here in India than with my wife and kids. So I think, part of that is just really kind of understanding the ecosystem, understanding the user, and yeah, that gives you a lot of insight on how to navigate. But again, my advice is more to look at the foundation of your brand and company. I feel like with globalization, and I see it even in India, even the way, the youngsters dress up, even in the last 5 years, people, the fashion is becoming quite similar now, even with the Western world. In India, something that, eventually the first time I visited India 10 years ago wasn't necessarily the case. So I think from a brand standpoint, being able to build something that resonates globally is number one priority. And after, of course, from a go-to-market perspective, you will have a different kind of level of adaptation and how to navigate in the different kind of markets. But yeah, that's how I look at it.
Who do you see as competition today?
We always like to think the biggest competition is ourselves. I think we are in the market that's the possibilities are infinite. So, being able to, keep a level of focus on keep on a specific strategy versus kind of trying to want to go too big, too fast. I think that's going to be the key thing for us, and staying true to, why we started this company, and ensure that sort of brand consistency, and building that emotional connection with our users is still kind of really consistent. And this is why we have that kind of community board observer to ensure he keeps us in check at all time.
Now, technology is a huge part of your business. For entrepreneurs who want to leverage technology in corporate tech into their businesses, what advice would you have for them?
Again, I think, there needs to be a shift in mindset. It's not only about selling products anymore. I think the best brands out there, they not only sell products but also inspire people. And I think that's what the younger demographic is craving for. And I think that's where the opportunity is. So again, getting your brand promise right, why you're starting this, what you're solving out there, and be super clear about it and really over-communicate about it. I think that's proved to be very successful for us, at least.
And finally, tell me, what does it take to have a global mindset? As we are wrapping up this conversation, what would be the 2 or 3 key things that you would advise entrepreneurs to definitely do, a checklist they might have?
Global mindset. Yeah, touch base on this, but again, I think globalization has kind of blurred the lines between the different kind of geographies. Just ensure you kind of are super clear in terms of what you are solving, creating that kind of emotional connection with your audience as well. And I think maybe the second one, really building your own kind of communication channels to ensure you kind of nurture and build those relationships as you scale. Yeah.
All right. Well, Akis, it was lovely chatting with you. Before we let you go, I want to know, because our show is called Leaders of Tomorrow, what does leadership mean to you?
I think leadership comes down to inspiring the people around you. I think there is nothing better than someone that kind of comes to work and is exciting, willing to come and willing to kind of help you build the company. So inspiring both, I guess, our employees, people that are coming to work, it's as important as kind of inspiring people that are using our products. So for me, that's definitely the most important part.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Akis. It was lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritvika, for that. Akis, can I request you to stay on just a little while longer? Thank you, Ritvika, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the story of Nothing. I'd now like to invite back up on stage Chinmay Doble. Chinmay, may we request you to please join Akis on stage to give a very special recognition, a much-deserved innovative leadership in technology, special recognition to Akis Evangelidis. Akis, I'm sorry, I always seem to mispronounce your surname. I apologize for that. But don't blacklist me on the phone, okay? I have to buy your phone. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause. Innovative leadership in technology. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you, Akis, for that.